Hi there, friends, and welcome back. I'm Dr. Sujata here. Today, the topic of discussion is exploring toxic environments, and you can see it's got a very interesting tagline that is, we need biology to treat, but only third rate physics to prevent. As I take you through this fascinating story of how it all happens, dear viewers, I will attempt to unwind the reels to let you see how toxicity in relationships is actually a consequence of adaptation and how individuals who had no role in its development have to bear the consequences. I present to you a picture, and in this picture, you can see that on one side there is the Venus flytrap, which is an insectivorous plant, and on the other side is the lotus. Now, both these plants grow in bogs and marshy soils, which is deficient in nitrogen. And you can see that the Venus flytrap or any other insectivorous plants, they adapt to this. Okay, they can actually synthesize their own food because they do have chlorophyll, but they lack nitrogen. So they depend on insects, okay, to satiate their nitrogen needs. So they trap insects to get their nitrogen. So they develop spines, or they have infundibula which are coated with mucin and so on. There are various ways of adaptation, and the lotus shows a completely different adaptation. It develops rhizobial roots in which it traps rhizobium bacteria in the soil, and these rhizobial bacteria can fix the atmospheric nitrogen. So the lotus grows to be a beautiful plant. So you can see that as an observer, you will only marvel at it, marvel at the resilience of nature, rather than put the Venus flytrap or any other insectivorous plant to judgment. Okay, so this is what it is. Toxicity develops as an adaptation. Okay, so we go on to the next slide, which is actually the principal slide of this discussion, and you can see that there is a triangle here, and at the base of the triangle is green in color because it's the universe of nature. All this is happening within the realm of nature. In this triangle, you can see that the thoughts are, you can imagine it to be a rough picture of the brain itself. Okay, so you can see that at the base are the thoughts. Okay, now when the brain receives stimuli from various quarters, it stimulates some kind of thoughts at the base of the brain. Now these thoughts have to travel up first through the right side. So when they go up, okay, then that leads to thought processing. So there are various ways one can process the thought. You can have gratitude, you can have sadness or happiness or hate or love or even pain. But there is one column here which is I do not know, which means this person admits that they do not know what is happening. Okay, and this is also a way of coping, to just let it be without knowing what could have happened. Okay, now once this processing happens, then this takes some time. Okay, this is the processing time, and this is the most important thing in this entire diagram. At this time, this person is with himself or herself. They are spending time with themselves. Then from here, it has to, the memory of the thought, okay, or the thought itself has to come down into the body. The thought process has created a metabolic has created metabolic intermediaries which have to come down through the body. Now, the right side deals with the parasympathetic nervous system, which is composed of the vagus nerve. Okay, so when these metabolites come down after being processed and after it has taken some processing time, it can show up in the gut as acidity or irritable bowel syndrome, or it can show in the heart as a palpitation, or it can show in any other body part as pain. Okay, now this is another important step here. Now, the injury or the effects on the body can be minimized if this person can distribute that by telling or trusting someone with this information and your processing. It can actually be conveyed to someone who you can trust, whose hand you can hold. Now, this is another important thing, that the thoughts have now gone up. They have to go to the right side of the brain. They have passed through these filters. They are all the filters, and then there is little bit of processing time there where they are spending time with themselves, and the actions which are seen in the body. So every stimulus will have an action which shows up in the body, and that generally shows up in the gut, heart, or other body parts as pain. Now, this effect can be minimized if you can say it to someone. Okay, you can recount it and you can confide in someone. Also, it can be minimized if there are some useful habits, okay, such as music or creative fine arts or dancing or scriptures or chanting or anything that can take away the load from the body. And if it prolongs a little bit, okay, if the processing time is a little longer, then there can be crying episodes and there can be sleep disturbances where they can sleep more or they can sleep less. Nevertheless, it's okay. It's an observation to make. Okay. Now, you can see that most of these actions are involving the upper parts of the body, and if the stress can be released above the neck level, okay, then it spares the body. Okay, so this is a very important observation to make. So if you can tell someone you trust, a person who can give you a non-judgmental space, who will not tell you what to do but just be with you, hold your hand, then you can see that these outputs actually spare the body of disease, okay, or illness. Now, this time is very crucial because this also gives an opportunity when you go ahead, okay. Now, if this does not happen, then there is a possibility that there is an emotion called anger that can happen, and anger can also be suppressed or it can be released. Okay, so they can develop anger, but there is another beautiful thing that can happen, that is they can develop forgiveness of the very stimulus that actually caused these bodily changes in them. This is a very important observation to make. So when you spend time with yourself and you have all these effects in your body, there is a chance of learning about yourself, okay, and also what of you that contributed to this problem, and also develop forgiveness, okay. And as we practice, forgiveness becomes a habit, then you go higher and you develop another beautiful attribute called empathy. Empathy is the ability to put yourself in another person's shoes, to be able to exactly understand what that person is going through. This is the most superior virtue that one can develop, empathy. So the thought process has been processed. The person has spent time with themselves, and they could have had a chance to develop forgiveness, and they can develop empathy. Now, with every stimulus that comes in and its processing, they have spent some time with themselves. So over a period of time, they have learned a lot on how to process stimuli, okay, good or bad. They have learned a lot about that, and that actually means knowing oneself. So you can say that I know myself here after a period of time. This generally happens around 15 to 20 years of age, when you know yourself, and this is what you are, this is how you react, and this is what has worked for you. Now, once this process sets in, okay, then they carry on with everyday life, okay, and then the movement comes in, okay, and movement surely and definitely will bring you to the presence, okay, like I have said in the previous in my previous video. So now you have this person whose thoughts have undergone the filters, the screening, the security check. They have spent time with themselves at the lounge, okay, and they have felt all its effects in the body, and they have been with it, okay. They have been present with themselves. They have learned a lot about the stimulus and their response, and they have also had a chance to develop forgiveness and empathy, okay. And they have found someone to share their problems with, okay, and they have also become masters at distributing their weight through other outlets, okay, their stress through other outlets. So, and then they still have energy, and they make movement help them to come back to presence more and more, okay. So this is actually the right way, okay. So when we do this over a period of time, we come to know ourselves, if not completely, there and thereabouts, okay. So you have a sensitive individual who knows who has undergone all the gamut of emotions, okay, who has developed forgiveness and who has developed empathy. Now, these are the type of people we need in our environment today. The world needs these kind of people, okay. Now, suppose you had a child, okay, who has undergone lot of who has himself or herself undergone lot of toxic exposure even as children. This could be from the family, this could be through siblings, through comparisons, anything, okay. So these children have also undergone these bodily difficulties, but somehow they find that they do not like it, okay. So they like to spare the body, okay. So what they do is they go straight up, okay, and they cross to the left side of the brain, okay, bypassing all the filters. So they have skipped the cue, okay. So when they rise up and skip the cue, okay, one thing is they have not spent time with themselves. They have not understood their reaction, okay, with respect to their environment from where the stimulus is coming in, okay. So now the thoughts rise up, it skips the cue, and it enters the left side of the brain. Now, when it enters the left side of the brain, there is a wall, okay, it crosses that, and there is another small area in the brain a strip area in the brain where you can park the thoughts. Okay, now these thoughts which are parked there, okay, are not processed completely. They are just there. Okay, they are parked. Okay, and now after the individual knows, okay, these thoughts are parked there, they come back to movement. They come back to the present through movement. So what is happening here? The thought comes, okay, in the past they have not liked what they have felt in the body, so they have skipped the queue, they have crossed the divider, and they have parked the thoughts in a place, at a safe place in the left side of the brain, and they are continuing with life with movement, because movement is a sure short way of coming to presence. Okay, so now what is happening when you move? Okay, like the right sided activities engage the vagus nerve, that is the parasympathetic nerve. The left side outputs are actually through movement, and movement engages the sympathetic nervous system of our autonomic nervous system. It engages the sympathetic nervous system. Now like parasympathetic has two consequences, that is cold and just right, whereas sympathetic system engagement has hot consequences towards the hot. Okay, but since they are moving, okay, it kind of acts as a balm to all the things that they have missed here. Okay, they have it kind of acts as a balm, so they treat themselves with movement and engage the sympathetic system. Now movement always excuse me, movement, okay, always has an effect. It will achieve something. Okay, so these people, you can see that since they move so much, they get things done very well. Okay, so, and the society is always very appreciative of people who can get things done. They are needed for the society. Someone has to get things done. Not all of them can be thinkers, not all of them can have lot of processing time. It's not like that. Okay, so people love such individuals who are able to achieve to get things done with movement. Okay, so the society lauds them. Okay, and with this, whatever they have missed, okay, in their childhood, it's as if they are kind of getting it through the society. Okay, so they become early achievers, and you will find that people in the society, okay, they adore them because they can achieve so much. Okay, but at what cost? Okay, they have achieved this at the cost and at the opportunity of knowing themselves. They have not spent time with themselves. Okay, anyway, they carry on with movement and life is as usual. But what is happening here is that they have parked the thoughts. Okay, they have parked the thoughts, and initially when the space occupied is less, okay, their movement, they are able to achieve a lot. But as they age, okay, their efficiency comes down, and I can tell you why. Now every molecule of glucose, okay, gives 38 molecules of energy in the human body, and the parked thoughts here, that is, these parked thoughts are generally grudge and guilt. Okay, so you can see that when the size is small, okay, when you park something, you have to pay rent. Okay, so as it increases in size, the rent they have to pay is also more. Okay, so if the brain cell is also a cell in nature. Okay, our body is actually of nature. The cell, the brain cell, is also of nature. Actually, it is more sensitive than other body cells. So here, one molecule of glucose theoretically should give 38 molecules of energy. But what you can see here is that this 38 molecules of energy is 28 molecules are available for movement, but 10 molecules go to maintain this area, that is to this tenant who's you have to give maintenance rent to them. Parking lot, in the parking lot you have to pay the money, rent money, okay? So they have to pay 10. So whereas this person, when they move, okay, they have all the 38 molecules available to them to move, okay? So initially, because of the time lapse, their ascent in the society may be less, but as time progresses, these people's efficiency increase because they have all the 38 molecules available to them. But the one who has made movement and sympathetic system involvement as their primary way of living, the efficiency comes down because they are now paying the rent for the things that they have parked, okay? So the efficiency comes down. Now when the efficiency comes down, the anger, okay, there can be bouts of anger, okay? So this is where it is, okay? So if they have not spent time with themselves, if they have not watched what reactions they have had, if they have not had anybody, if they have not been given a non-judgmental space to express themselves, okay, which could have spared their body, okay, and if they have not been guided to reduce the pain or the injury that the body can take, they bypass it, they come out as movement type of people, okay, and you can see that they are early achievers through overusing the sympathetic system, and they are paying increments of rent, okay, to the things unanswered, unprocessed thoughts that they are holding on the left side of the brain, okay. Now we come to the other important effect of consequence of this, okay. Now you can see that the metabolic intermediaries of any nature cell, anything in nature, it produces intermediaries that are negatively charged. That is, they do have more electrons, okay. That means they are negatively charged, okay. The number of electrons they have are more, okay, truly negatively charged, okay. Now these electrons, okay, they move in one direction. They have to move away from here so that it can be cleared. But here these people have parked their unprocessed thoughts here, okay. So a baseline metabolic activity is taking place which is not cleared here, and this area, as age progresses, this area bulges, okay. So now electrons have the habit of sticking close to the nucleus because they are negatively charged and the nucleus of the atom has positive charges, so they would like to combine and attain stability, okay. But so they stick to the nucleus, so they form what we call as electron cloud, okay. Now as the space they occupy, like a camel in the Arab's tent, I can give that, as the space occupied increases, this cloud actually increases, okay. And they, as you see, as they age, they can the cloud is so much that they actually have less space for processing critical issues, and they exhibit clouded judgment. These people cannot think with clarity. Okay, so this is the problem. So you can see that uh, uh, how parking and paying the rent can keep the metabolic intermediaries here, which are negatively charged, and how it forms an electron cloud, and how as they age they exhibit clouding of judgment. Thank you.